Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the program. Now, here's a story that caught my eye the other day, and it was from last week, actually, in the New York Times. New York suburb declares measles emergency, barring unvaccinated children from the public. It's set in Rockland County, New York, where I spent part of my childhood, and it says that an executive order pulled close to 6,000 unvaccinated children out of schools. Nearly 17,000 doses of the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine were given in 2016, in 26 weeks. There was a public health campaign in which community officials, doctors, and clergymen testified to the importance of immunizations, but they still had a severe measles outbreak. It's been plaguing Rockland County outside New York City since October, so they declared a state of emergency at the county level, barring children and teenagers who are not vaccinated against measles from going to any public places. Now, this is the kind of thing that happens when we disregard our need to be good members of the community. Now, we talked about this with Dr. Mark Allen Derry a couple of weeks ago on the show about the problem of anti-vaxxers or people who refuse to vaccinate their children. In this case, it seemed to be a problem largely in the ultra-Orthodox Jewish community of Rockland County, but it is also a problem in many other groups, including sort of hippie-ish groups, progressive groups, probably some of the people who listen to this show. I mean, people who might agree with in all sorts of values, but they have translated their healthy and very real skepticism and hostility towards Big Pharma, who deserve hostility, who certainly don't have people's best interests in mind, into a skepticism against science itself. And then they refuse to vaccinate their children. It's turning out to be a public health disaster. Kids are getting sick, children could die, other people could die, and ultimately there's got to be a way to reinforce public safety without feeling that we're impinging on people's rights to personal freedom. When you choose to believe that you have a right to, let's say, create a situation that makes your kids sick and makes other kids sick, something has to be done. There was an old saying by Will Rogers, the comedian, that your right to swing your fist ends where my nose begins. Well, your right to breed pathogens in your child should end where his or her nose begins, and it should also end where community safety begins. So for God's sake, whatever you do, please go out there and vaccinate.